Was there any even talk of what's going to go on 5, 10, 20 years from now with BMF?
I would,
in a realistic way.
I mean, no, not really. I tried to have those conversations. You know, I tried to have them with Meech. I tried to have them with, you know, a couple of different young guys just to see what their perspectives were. After I became really clear on what Meech's perspective was.
Which was?
His perspective was, his words were, I'm not going to let them scare me out of living my life, Cavario. Because I would, you know, we would argue, and I would say to him, this is counterproductive. This right here, this particular thing here is really unnecessary, and it puts your whole situation at risk. So it doesn't do you anything good, and it definitely can potentially do you something bad. You know, and he would be like, well, you know, I'm not going to let them scare me out of living my life. You know, once he got to a point with the conversation where it was like really nothing that he could say that could make the behavior really
justified,
make sense, other than this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do this, and you know, until they come get me, or you know, and if they never come get me or whatever, I'm gonna do this. So you know, the conversations I would have would be, as it pertains to, you know, future outcomes and so forth, would be like, you know, I'd pull them to the side. One day I pulled both to the side, and I said, so we about to go out, and I said, you know, he had just gotten a 350Z, a silver 350Z with blue interior, blue nubuck interior, and we about to go out, and you know, we standing there talking and shit, and everybody getting themselves together, picking whatever car they're gonna get in. And I said, so, how does this end? And he said, I don't know, you know, they come and they snatch us up, and you know, we go sit down for a few years, you know. He said maybe 10 years, and we come home and, you know, do our thing, you know, like move on with our lives, you know. But I think he anticipated they would let him keep the money.
How could he have thought that? Like, there had already been...
Because he was young.
Yeah, but I mean, there's already... I mean, if you just read the newspapers, you see people's money getting seized. This doesn't require a secret knowledge.
Right, right. But I think, you know, a lot of times, man, they just avoid coming into contact with anything that might go against what they would like to believe is the truth or whatever, you know. But you know, he did say, I mean, we talked at different times later on, recently, in the last couple of years, and he said, yeah, whenever you went out, you know, when you left us in the house, we would be like, yo, you know, he's right, you know. But I guess they felt as though they had already taken the leap. There was nothing to do now but try to look good.
Did the world change? Were there more opportunities if you were a smart, hard-working black person in 2000? And not to say that getting money is good, but if that was your goal, there were certainly other opportunities, whereas probably in 1973 there weren't many.
Oh, it's a fact. It's a fact. It was a fact that there were very few things that a black person could get into that would not require a specialized knowledge, a certain access, a certain level of education, even to become aware that an opportunity existed outside of what you'd been shown every day or what you'd observed every day. You know, because some of us were shown and some of us observed, you know. And you know, it was definitely a lot more opportunity, and definitely a great deal more awareness of opportunity in the 21st century. You know, people, if they didn't have someone to ask, they had something to ask. They could go on a computer and they could pull up information. There are also a great deal more books about any and everything you could think of, you know, that were relatively inexpensive, right? So there were definitely more opportunities in the 21st century than there were back in the early, you know, that middle 19th century.